What's up guys, welcome back to Silicon Tech. Now in the last video I did the 5 best things about the iPad, and they were pretty good, from the form factor to the battery life to the accessory support to the operating system, iPad OS, and the "it's more than a laptop" replacement speech that I gave at the end. But of course today we're going to follow that up with the 5 worst things about the iPad. Or we can call them worst things, but let's just say the drawbacks about the iPad. So if you're thinking about owning an iPad, especially owning an iPad as your only primary computing device, what are 5 drawbacks that you can expect from that? Now let's start off with the number 1 worst thing about the iPad, and this is probably going to turn a lot of people off who want to purchase an iPad for more traditional uses, and that is the software capability. Now, I know in the last video I did give praises to iPad OS, specifically about how far it has come. And even though it's made strides today, it's still very limited when it comes to software. So even things from just going on the web and wanting to download different drivers or different files that you can get if you are on a traditional laptop. For some websites, the iPad still has a hard time doing these different things. Even in apps like the Microsoft Suite, some of those apps, even though they've gotten better over the years, they're still limited to what you can do in that Microsoft Office Suite, especially when it comes to Excel spreadsheet. I really don't like using it on the iPad. I've grown accustomed to it, but the experience that you get on a traditional laptop is just way better. So a lot of times if you do have a laptop and the iPad, you're gonna pick the laptop 9 times out of 10 when it comes to those traditional productivity apps. And because of the day and age that we live in, if the iPad is your only option and you want to work from home, that could be hit or miss. If you're VPN based, so your office or job, whatever have you, has a specific VPN that you have to download for the iPad, speaking from personal experience, when everything first started and work from home became a reality, it was a hard time getting that work from home VPN to work with the iPad. It was a very frustrating experience, and it definitely made me want a MacBook or any traditional laptop so much more, just with the hit or miss connectivity issues. And a lot of places, when you are calling your IT for wherever you work, they don't know a lot about iPads and how to resolve those issues. So you definitely have to do a lot of work on your own when it comes to those certain unique issues. So all in all, the software capability issues aren't a death sentence, but they will make you kind of think, why am I dealing with this? And there are better options out there. So it can be a bigger issue for some people than others, but it's still a very frustrating experience. So hopefully that continues to get better. Now the second worst thing about the iPad is a very, very annoying one, because Apple has showed us that it could be done, but not done for the individual customer. And that is multi-user support. Now, a lot of families, they get iPads and they get 1, maybe 2 iPads. Now, you have a family, a couple of kids at that, or just anybody in the household, you're gonna share those 1 or 2 iPads. But in terms of having multi-user support, that is a no-go for the individual Apple customer. Now, you may say that, hey, multi-user support doesn't seem like a big thing or a big issue for Apple to just include. And yeah, it seems like that. And it seems like that so much so that they actually do it for education iPads. So the education iPads that they sell all around the country and other countries, so the world, they have multi-user support because of course with the iPads in the classroom, depending on what school district that you're in or what part of the country that you're in, not every student can get their own individual iPad, so they have to share. And with that sharing, they have the ability to have multi-user support on those iPads. So why can't Apple just give it to everybody? So I think there are some good reasons for them and their bottom line for that. One, if there were multi-user supports on just the regular consumer iPads that anyone can buy, I can't prove this through data, but I'm pretty sure some people will put off getting an iPad for their kids or just other members of the household if they can have that multi-user support, so what they have going on stays with what they have going on. So a lot of people, they get those different iPads for those other members just to not have to deal with that. And that would hurt Apple's bottom line in terms of selling the iPads. Now, I don't think it would be catastrophic, and I think it would just be a cool feature to have since they can do it and do it with those education iPads. And to me, that makes it so much more annoying, but maybe they'll update it on a future version of iPad OS, so fingers crossed. The third worst thing about the iPad is its video support. So its ability to output video to larger monitors. When you output video from an iPad to a larger monitor, you get a horrible aspect ratio. Now, I've looked at movies on Apple TV, and that ratio, when it's being output from the HDMI port on a dongle, of course, is in the full screen. But if you're just mirroring iPad OS to a TV or other monitor, it's going to come in at that 4:3 aspect ratio, and it's not going to be full screen. And even the M1 Power iPad Pros are still limited to this aspect ratio, which is mind-boggling because the M1 chip on Apple's MacBooks are able to output that video into full screen when it comes to other monitors. But this is another one that hopefully in the future Apple corrects with iPad OS and can definitely get people to use their iPads to be able to mirror and be in the operating system instead of just outputting media. The fourth worst thing about the iPad is something that I kind of thought I would get used to, but I haven't. And that's the front camera placement on the iPad. Now, most people, and I'm gonna say most people who I see out and about using their iPad, friends and family, use their iPads in landscape mode. So that's holding the iPad the long way. The camera is placed to be in portrait mode. So how most people typically hold their phone when they're not looking at videos on YouTube or looking at movies. When you think about it, especially these days, most people are using their iPad's front camera not to take selfies like they do on their cell phones, but to video conference. So whether it be for work or to catch up with family and friends, FaceTime, Zoom, any other video conferencing application you can think about, they want that full screen and larger screen experience on their iPad and just have the ability to see more and to be able to do more. Now, when it comes to the front-facing camera placement on all iPad models, it's going to be off to the side when you're using it in landscape. So if you are holding your smaller or bigger iPad in portrait mode, you're gonna be good. This isn't gonna be an issue for you because, as I mentioned before, it's gonna be a similar experience to using your phone. But once you're in that landscape, which I feel is the more natural orientation for most people when they're video conferencing, that camera is off to the side. So you may think, like, what is the big issue with the camera being in that placement? But when you're actually video conferencing and looking into the camera, no matter what you do, it looks like you're looking off. So seeing yourself on the screen, it looks like you're looking off or not paying attention to what the person is saying or what's going on. And that can be really annoying. Of course, you can give a disclaimer of like, hey, I'm paying attention, but my camera is just in this awkward place and this is how I'm gonna look like I'm not really caring about what you're talking about. But it's still not a great resolution. A lot of the iPads now, the current ones, they have this feature called Center Stage, which is supposed to open up the camera lens a little bit more and kind of imitate following you around. But even with that, just hearing from people, that doesn't resolve the issue completely. So the resolution for Apple would have to be to place the front-facing camera on top in the landscape orientation. So hopefully that can come and more people can be open to using the iPad as a video conferencing tool, which a lot do already. So it doesn't discourage people as much as I'm making it out to be, but just fix this one issue and make it better. And the last worst thing about the iPad is something that's kind of sad, but it's not for everybody. The iPad is definitely not for everybody. When considering getting one, especially if you don't have a laptop or a traditional computer, desktop, what have you, you have to consider, will you be able to do the things that you need to do on the iPad? And then once you figure that out, if you can, will the experience on the iPad with those things be something that you want? Now, of course, the iPad does a lot of things really, really well, and some things that on the Apple side, when it comes to the laptops, that those MacBooks can't do. But it's also very, very limited just in its software, in terms of how well the accessories work. So especially when you're looking at things like the keyboard support and things that are kind of going to get you up and going in traditional productivity tasks, some people may do better with a MacBook or a traditional laptop. And a lot of these issues I wish were resolved, especially on the software side, and the software being open to just more programs that people want. But understand that the user or the consumer isn't going to get everything that they want. And of course, Apple does want to sell those MacBooks. And that may be a limiting factor to a lot of people who want to get into the iPad and aren't going to really give it a chance. Now, the iPad does cover a range of prices from $329 up until the thousands of dollars. So if budget permits, I definitely encourage people to get into the iPad just to try it out, so you don't have to get the top of the line iPad, or you can look on the used market as well. But with just everything being so limited on the iPad as of this current date, it's not going to be for everybody, and that's kind of sad within itself because it's a really amazing machine. But I don't fault people for saying that it's too limited and they kind of don't want to give it a chance at this moment. So hopefully a lot of these issues can be resolved and more people will want to pick one up in the future. So there you have it. That's my 5 worst things about the iPad. Definitely let me know in the comment section if you have any questions or what you thought about the video. Thanks for watching the video. Like and consider subscribing to the channel. See you on the next one. Be easy and peace.